Seitz. Michelle, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today. We have so much that people talk about, everything from new highs and some great market action, but concerns about COVID-19, the elections, the economy. What's on your radar these days?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's hard not to have virtually everything on your radar these days. There's so much going on, but I think what the best investors do, and what we're certainly talking with our clients about, is to keep your eye on the prize, which is the outcome for the individual investor. And so, really, the biggest topic that we've been focused on is the financial security crisis that had been brewing prior to this pandemic, and now has been amplified and accelerated with the disruption in incomes as well as the volatility in asset prices.
So when you talk about the financial security crisis, I mean, what are you referring to in particular? So I fully understand and we're on the same page.
Certainly. Thanks for asking. The main part is retirement. And so a lot has been written about the fact that we have underfunded pension schemes throughout the world. But just to put a frame around it, in current days, so before the pandemic, we had a $70 trillion shortfall in global retirement savings. That number is estimated to go to as high as $400 trillion, and again by 2050. And again, that was before the disruption in world economies and disruption in savings and spending and employment. And so that number, that $70 trillion number, that's the retirement savings shortfall for people to be able to have an expected retirement that is approximately 80% of their current living standards. That number, just to equate it again, is 150% of 8 countries' global GDP. So it's just a huge shortfall that isn't just about retirement. It's also about lifetime financial security.
Right. So it's not only now, but also for your long haul and how to plan out your money, particularly when you may not have a job or investments are fewer or whatever. That being said, your goal, at least in part, is to help people feel financially secure. And as I was reading through your notes, you were talking about maybe not trying to outpace every index, right? Don't do that. Try and preserve your principle and set your goals. So there are ways to say, listen, I'm willing to only make 50% of what the index makes when it's going up, but I don't want to lose 100% like when it's going down, right? There's ways to hedge your portfolio. What are some of the most common things that you're advising to folks in order to weigh so they can make money or just not lose as much money as the market?
Sure, and this all comes back to what is your goal, right? I mean, if your goal is to beat a benchmark, being down 28% when the benchmark is down 35 probably isn't going to make you feel great about your retirement savings. So benchmarks aren't the end-all, be-all. They're a great tracker for active management, but at the same time, it's not the outcome that necessarily most people are aspiring to achieve. And so you're absolutely right, making sure that you are focused on what your personalized goal is by far the most important thing to do. And
listen, I only have a few seconds left, Michelle, so I'm going to interrupt you. Are you hot on tech? It was my understanding that you had some tech thoughts.
So hot on tech. So I would simply say that tech is certainly driving the market. There are all kinds of reasons why there is a tailwind, especially in an environment where we're all working virtually around the globe. Definitely a tailwind, but you do have to pay attention not simply to the fundamentals, but also the price that you're paying. So I've been in the industry a long time. I'm going to go back to another period where tech was driving all indices, and that's 1999. A very different environment now than back then. Tech companies make real money, and there is substantial cash flow and value in them. But 1999, when you defaulted to the S&P 500, for instance, that was probably the most concentrated and riskiest thing you could possibly do, was to default to the S&P 500 as an index to invest your life savings. And so I think that no matter where investors shake out on industry evaluations, I heard your last speaker talk about time frame is everything. That's absolutely true. There's a time and a place for all industries, and price-dependent fundamentals do matter. Cash flow does matter in the long run, but your goals are by far the most important thing, and whether or not your time frame is shorter or it's longer is probably one of the biggest determinants of how you ought to be investing.